Conversations with Iris. Here's your host, my loving wife, Iris.
Hola, mi gente bonita. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to Conversations with Iris, the space where real talk, raw truth, and a whole lot of heart just come together. You know why? Because I love bringing you guys some of that flavor and sazon to these interviews. Because at the end of the day, I keep telling you guys, I keep telling you all, because I feel like every conversation deserves to be told and every voice deserves to be heard. Don't we all? We got to tell our story. So let's keep building this moment together, one soul, one truth, one fearless conversation at a time. And I'm so excited to bring you guys the next guest that I have on this podcast. And of course, before we get started, don't forget to hit download because in this podcast game here, every play matters. It just fuels the mic, the mission, and just makes this little podcast that could just come to life. Now, back to our wonderful guest. I'm super excited about this guest because you know what? This individual has made it her mission to help other women, especially those over the age of 40, just go from burnout to just finding that balance and back to ourselves, which is kind of hard, especially when you're over 40 years old or so. She is the founder of Signature of Excellence Coaching and Consulting, where she teaches women how to reconnect with their inner fire. Yes. And she teaches them to say and learn to say no with confidence and helps them build a life that reflects on who they really are, not just what life has demanded from them. And get this, she's even served as a professor inside the California State Prison. So, yes, she's been behind the walls doing hard work for the community. And the best part about our wonderful guest is that she's worn the titles of educator, leader, entrepreneur, but what makes her stand out is her wonderful purpose. So please help me give a warm welcome to Dr. Elizabeth Sherrell-Davis. Bienvenidos and welcome to my show.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you for the invite. I am so excited to be here.
Oh, and I'm
And thank
so
you for the
glad.
wonderful introduction. Sorry about that.
Yes. Yeah. You know how I do. I got, of course, you're definitely not going to be disappointed with that introduction. So thank you so much for joining my podcast, right?
Absolutely. I am happy to be here.
Oh my God. And I just love that you help women reclaim their time, their energy, and their boundaries. But I have to ask, can you tell me if your mindset right now could speak or had a theme song, what would that be? Because I'm just curious to see where the season right now is taking you. Let's talk about that. Where are you at right now? What song it speaks, Dr. Sherrell-Davis?
I am every woman.
Ooh, yes, that's my jam, girl. I
Yes, I
love
am
that.
every woman.
Oh my God, that's beautiful, Dr. Elizabeth. And I know what I just feel like when somebody shares their mindset, their why, and their walk, we don't just hear their story, we feel it deep in our bones, my dear. You just get a little bit of that in your soul. And I have to say that you're the founder of Signature of Excellence Coaching and Consulting. And a name that really does speak volume is a lot, it's Roth. So I got to ask you, where did the name come from and what's the story behind it?
It's interesting. My faith in God has driven me in many directions in my life. And when I decided to create a coaching and consulting firm, I didn't know what the name was going to be, but I will tell you, with much prayer and allowing myself to be vulnerable in my sleep, God awakened me and gave me the name. Seriously.
Mm,
Two
I
o'clock
love
in
that.
the morning, I was sitting on the side of the bed, Signature of Excellence, got up and I got a notepad and I wrote it out and I went back to sleep. So it's been Signature of Excellence coaching and consulting firm since I started this journey back in 2022.
Wow, that's beautiful. So you would you say that your own journey, challenges and your pivots and breakthrough just led you to this calling. You are a woman of God, which I love. And you just said, you know what? I'm going to start helping women reconnect with their fire, own their no. I love that. You mentioned owning your no and just walking in confidence. So, can you tell me more behind your brand and tell me a little bit more about that and your upbringing and all that good stuff?
So, there was a time in my life where I wore many hats, as I said earlier. And literally, I wore all of those hats. I worked full time for the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation as an instructional design manager. I led a nonprofit organization where I served as president. I was teaching 4 nights a week at one of the California state prisons, teaching business courses to incarcerated men. And then, with all of those dynamics going on in my life, there was a point where I became very robotic. So that means I'm rising at 4:30. I do the same thing every day, and I did that for about 5 years, which meant that I was disconnected from myself. I wasn't eating correctly. I mean, when you have a lot of dynamics going on in your life, food sometimes, nutritional food is not the focus. The focus
Mhm.
is making sure that everything on that task list is taken care of, making sure others are taken care of, and not so much focus on myself. So by the end of 2022, I wouldn't say the end, we'll say by summer 2022, I was fully disconnected. I wasn't feeling good. I wasn't healthy. Um, but I found my way to a workshop, and this workshop was for women. And at this workshop, there were life coaches at this workshop. I was not familiar with the term life coach, but I was able to have this conversation with these women that they were entrepreneurs. They had been through exactly what I was going through. And then once they were able to have the moment with themselves so that
Okay.
so that they can rejoin themselves, because when you're disconnected from all elements of self. But once you rejoin, you're able to focus on the things that's important to you, but more importantly is to make sure that you're eating healthy, that you're having a communication with your primary care physician, your OBGYN, and just noticing the things within inside the body. When I left that workshop that day, I felt alive, inspired, and I came home and I did a Google search so that I could clearly understand what is a life coach. And within 3 weeks, I was enrolled into a program, which was a 9-month program that allowed me to get my certification as a life coach. I continued on with that educational program, and I became a certified advanced life coach. That's when the breakthrough in my life came, because I said to myself, I said, self, if you are disconnected from yourself, so are other women, and I'm definitely over
Mhm.
40. So why not? So the focus of the business, the branding of the business, is inspiring women over 40. That was feeling exactly the same way that I was feeling. But I will tell you, at the end of the day, I ended all of those activities that was going on in my life, serving president of a nonprofit organization. My term came to end, and I did not run again. I decided to retire. I retired after 47 years of working. So now my sole purpose is to build the brand, but more importantly, is to help women over 40 not to get to where I was, but if we're paying attention to our bodies, we know there's something wrong. Let's seek help. Sometimes working with a coach may not be beneficial. It might be therapy, but whatever it may be, reach out to get help so that women can continue to prosper. So
Mm.
that's the short version of my story.
Oh, that's beautiful. And I just want to emphasize on something that you said, and which I this is one of the what stood out to me, right? You said woman over 40 disconnected from all elements of themselves. That's deep. That's pretty deep. And I am a woman over 40 years old now. I'm proud to say that. And yeah, we do feel like that. You also mentioned how nutrition plays a factor in it. So let me ask you from your personal perspective, when you said or when you mentioned disconnected from all elements of just, around you, what does that look like for some woman over 40? What have you observed with those key elements?
Well, so there are women that are trying to achieve a promotion to that next level, whether they're working in a nonprofit, government, or profit organizations. They're trying to, get promoted to that next position. They're married, they're raising their husbands, or and they're raising their children. They may have elderly parents that live in the household. There possibly could be a few animals. So, what that looks like is she's giving 24/7, but she hasn't set those boundaries because she's taking the kids to school or to daycare. She's picking them up, or if the kids are older, they have sports, so she's taking them to their sports game, or it could be to a dance class. She's preparing the meals, or she's eating out. The family is eating out. And then, she's got the dynamics of the elderly parents that's living in the household. That's a lot to consume,
Yeah.
especially if she is not outsourcing those responsibilities. Who's cooking dinner? Who's making lunch for the children? Who's taking the parents to the doctor appointments? Outsourcing some of those responsibilities helps the woman to remain connected to herself. Maybe you need to hire a housekeeper. Maybe the if you have children that are playing sports, maybe a community pickup and drop off needs to be developed. So
Mm.
sometimes you need a community of people to help you with the things that's going on in your lives. If you can just like take a moment and step back, maybe let's think about 50 years ago when you had the mother and the father and the grandparents and the children all living in the household. Everyone in the household had a responsibility because the parents were working and the
Yeah.
grandparents was living in the household. The grandparents literally took care of the kids in the household, but there was a plan and everyone had a responsibility. A little Timothy had to make up his bed in the morning.
Yeah.
So that means so you're teaching your children to be responsible at an early age so that the parents, the mother over 40, can do the things that she needs to do to keep herself healthy. So, and it's an exchange of the in the family, the family exchange. Um, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. But what the family exchange,
You're fine.
the duties that's required in the household, so that there's a happy household. It's not dysfunctional. Everyone's contributing to that.
And I like how you mentioned outsourcing the responsibilities. And you're absolutely right, because before, I guess it's a generational thing too. I consider myself a millennial. Before you had your responsibilities, you knew where you stood in your household. Everybody had a place and everybody basically did what they were supposed to do, their job, right?
Absolutely,
But I feel like it's also a generational thing. I feel like as a millennial, we think a little bit differently than the baby boomers or the generation before us. I believe that's what Gen X. I think it's what they're called. But I think you're absolutely right, and I feel like aside from the burnout, aside from the stress, trying to find individuals within our household to try to help outsource those responsibility what are some other signs that we often miss, like with this particular breakdown?
Well, one of more importantly is health.
Health, yes.
So so if we focus on health, that means we should be eating we should be eating 3 healthy meals per day, or you're doing a fasting. So if you're eating 3 meals a day, it's not a lot. It's not sugar. It's not butter. I mean, you're literally eating a healthy 3 meals a day. That means you're doing some type of exercise, not necessarily going to the gym, but maybe you're walking. Maybe you're getting your 10,000 steps in a day or 15,000 steps in per day. You're drinking your 8 glasses of water or more. Actually, it should be a gallon of water a day, um, just so that you can maintain your health. More importantly, I should say, and additionally, that I would add to that is that when women gain weight, most of the time it's around the tummy. And if you have a conversation with your primary care physician, they will tell you that excess weight around the tummy is not healthy.
Mm.
So, having those conversations with your physician so that your physician can guide you into weight loss, and if you're not overweight, your physician can guide you to help you to keep to maintain your health. Most healthcare HMOs or PPOs, they offer all types of programs. If you want to transition to plant-based or become a vegan, if you would like to learn more about intermittent fasting and the benefits of that, your healthcare plan can help you with that. They have health coaches, and most of the time, those health coaches, there's no fee for those services. You can attend plant-based classes that are free that will help you to transition from a meat diet to more of a plant-based diet. So to answer your question, what I've seen, um, within my clients is, one is the health, and number two is wanting to be in control of everything and not outsourcing those responsibilities, which in return, um, your health, when you're not resting and not eating well, then that means you are you're not healthy.
It plays a
It
big
plays a big
factor in it,
We
for
can't
sure.
do everything. It's impossible to be responsible for everything. That's why it's important that you have a community so that you can maintain your health.
And I like that you emphasize in the nutrition aspect of it, because it is definitely key. As somebody that loves to eat sweets, and oh my God, I was looking at the calendar, I was like, oh my God, the holidays are coming up. You know what that means?
Oh, but absolutely. But what I will say to that is, when you have a good nutritional program, that doesn't mean that you limit the things that you like.
That's true.
It's called moderation. It's moderation. Instead of having 3 slices of pie, just have one. And it's all about discipline. I'll tell you, discipline is hard.
Oh my God, girl,
It
who are
is
you
hard.
telling?
It's hard.
who, who are you telling? Especially when I live here in a Puerto Rican and Black household, and we combine all of our flavors and foods together. It's out of this world. It's hard. It is so hard. So I definitely love this. I love that you emphasize on the nutritional aspect, because I feel like, yes, you're absolutely right. A lot of us get lost in that area specifically. So let me ask you, I know you spend many years being, or females out there, women out there has spent many years being everything to everyone, but somehow they forgot who they are, right? So what's the first thing you help them rediscover about themselves, and why is that step so powerful? Why would you say that?
Oh, well, step one is, do you like yourself? And you do? Well, tell me what you like about yourself. That's question number one. The question number two is, in the situation of where you are today, what would you change? Once they tell me that, then we can work on the change. Sometimes it's like my husband doesn't participate in the household.
Mhm.
We're both breadwinners, but when he comes home, it's the he comes home and relax, where I have to come home and prepare the meals or take care of my parents or whatever that may be. And that's what a lot of times we talk about. How do we get the husbands engaged in that, the participation of the household? But again, the first question is, I want to know, what do you like about yourself, and what would you change that's going on in your life today? Because we have to love ourselves. We as women have to love ourselves.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
is
we
so
do.
important. And sometimes when we are giving ourselves to others and things, then again we can become disconnected. We no longer love ourselves. Then we don't want to see ourselves in the mirror. That's important, to really understand, what do you like about yourself and what do you want to change.
I like that too. And basically answering these two questions: do you like yourself and what would you change? And that's very important because there's a lot that we could that's a loaded question, right? That's a lot. And I've also know that, just being real, boundaries are just not, that's a big thing now. Learning how to say no. What do you say to women that feel guilty about putting other people first and just like saying no? Like they're the pleasers, right? What would you say to women
Right.
like that? Like it's hard, especially when you're running a household. Like, how do we get away from that? Because we want to make everyone happy.
So it's it's really about having a conversation with yourself. First, we have to find out what's missing in your life. Because sometimes when we've given ourselves to everything and everyone, a lot of times there's something missing from us internally. So that's the question we have to ask ourselves. What's missing in our life? Why are we giving so much and not receiving in return? And once a woman has determined that, then it's very easy from that point to work with her, because I can ask her, so share with me some of the challenges that you face when people ask you to do something and you don't want to do it. How do you respond? How does that make you feel? Do you follow through and provide the request, or what do you do?
Yeah.
Asking, how do you feel about boundaries? Tell me your thoughts about setting boundaries. It's about asking those open ended questions to get the client to think about why she or he is challenged with setting those boundaries, and how being a person that wants to please someone else, in order to do that, you got to have boundaries, because you can't please everyone.
Mm-mm.
And the first person that needs to be pleased is yourself. Do you feel good about providing this request? Because your body tells you, especially we as women, we have intuition. We know when something is not good for us. Our girlfriends call and say, well, if my husband calls and says, I'm here, and you're not, and she's really not there, how do you feel about that? Are you going to cover for her?
Yeah, that's a very good point. That's And let me ask you something, Dr. Davis. And how about, and I'm gonna ask you this because I have had, family members or, people that I've known that have lost, unfortunately, they are widow. They have lost their husband, their significant other. And I know maybe that is a separate conversation to talk about grieving. I haven't been in those shoes and I could only imagine. So, what would you say for women that are trying to reclaim their new their new you, their new them, and they really don't know or find their way around. Again, their husband pretty much did everything. What
Mhm.
suggestion do you suggest for, because I'm pretty sure every situation is different. I'm pretty sure you encountered that as a health coach. What would you say to those women out there that are now lonely, empty nesters, or their significant other has transitioned to this thing where we call this beautiful thing called heaven now? And it's just like, what do you suggest for people to trying to find their new way around that?
I will have to say that is a challenge. I was married for 18 years and I lost my husband. I believe when I think about it, I was probably 42, 43 years old, and we had been married for 18 years.
Oh wow, I'm so sorry. So sorry.
Thank you. So I will say it took a month for me to really realize that he was deceased, because when someone passes away, especially a husband, you have friends and family that's there with you,
Yes.
probably for a few weeks. But I can share that people go back to their lives, whether if it's your sister, brother, people go back to their lives. There will be some people that will continue to check in on you. Most people go back to their lives. The first step in that situation is therapy as soon as possible. For me, everything was so dark for me. I transitioned. I'm normally a colorful person in my attire. Everything turned to black. Everything I wore was black, and I couldn't understand why my attire turned to black.
Wow.
And so I went, because I couldn't go back to work. That's
Mhm.
number one. And ordered in order to keep your job, you have in terms of a death, whether if it's a spouse or a child, and most of the time employers require you to seek therapy. So I did. I did seek therapy. The company therapist wanted me on an antidepressant so I could return to work. But I didn't think that drugs is what I needed. What I needed was time. So I found a therapist where that I met every Wednesday for the first year. I ended up retiring from that job many years ago because the focus was for me to be on this antidepressant and return to work. And that's not what I needed. I just needed time. And it took me a year to um,
Wow.
to regain my confidence, to change my attire from black to colorful.
Yeah.
Eventually, like 2.5 years later, I met someone 2.5 years later. But you have to be open to the change, and you have to allow yourself to grieve. No one can tell you that everything is going to be okay. It's between yourself and your spirituality, whatever that may be. And you coast through that process at your speed, no one else's speed. If you want to cry all day, cry all day. If you want to be angry all day. But within those emotions, seeking a therapist is going to help you to transition to a healthier life after you complete the grieving process. Be open to friends and family that want to come and help. um, Sometimes those dinner parties with friends and families can help you to regain your confidence and help you to move on in life, even though that love that you had for that loved one, that person is no longer here.
Yeah.
But you can regain your life as long as you have a wonderful support system, and that starts with your therapist.
Mm. And I like that too. Therapy and time. That's very important. And I would definitely wanted to shift the conversation. And thank you for sharing that, by the way, regarding grief and loss, because that's a whole different other level. So I appreciate you providing your insights there. And I
Thank
wanted to
you.
definitely shift the conversation of talking about your time in the California State Prison. that's pretty prophetic that you were working there. Because, and the reason why I say that is because you were in an environment that basically you were healing people that were really seeking second chances. And I wanted to ask you, how did those teachings just, enlighten what you do now? What did you learn from that? And what can you tell people that maybe have a loved one out there, in a prison?
Well, I'll tell you, um, a colleague, which was a college professor, happened to be listening in on a class. I've always worked with at-risk students at the community college. I like at-risk students. I like the results that happens when they see the light at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I had this professor that was standing outside my class, and I can't tell you the conversation I was having, but he approached me. He said, I want you to teach some classes at the prison. So of course I said, okay, I can do that. Um, and so I had to go through this training. So I went through the training, and I'll tell you, the first day that I stepped foot into the prison system to teach, I froze. I There are six gates that I have to walk through to get to my classroom,
Oh
and
my.
I saw a sergeant. Actually, it was a correctional officer, and I walked up to him and I said, "Hey, this is my first day. Can you walk me to my class?" Because I froze because many times we see on television, we see the yard where the incarcerated person is lifting weights and is outside. That's what it shows on television. Well, that happens to be real. So I didn't know. I didn't know. I didn't know, and that's why I froze because I saw these incarcerated individuals and they're working out. It's like, okay, so anyway, he walked me to my class, and on the way to the class, he talked to me in a very calm voice. It's going to be okay. You've passed the background investigation. You've got great students. Literally, he talked to me. He coached me on this walk to my classroom. And
That's
so when I got to my classroom, um, a little intimidated, nothing like what I expected. So I've been teaching now in the California prison system going on 8 years. I teach business courses to incarcerated individuals, brown and black men, that's preparing their lives for when they leave the California prison system. I teach introduction to business, diversity in the workplace, small business, entrepreneurship, personal finance, and economics.
that's wonderful.
These individuals, they read more than the average person. So before I step into the classroom, because I teach business, I have to make sure that I have read all of the updates of what's going on in the business world before I step foot in the classroom, because students will challenge me. It's like, okay, so Dr. Davis, did you hear about, or Dr. Davis, what do you think about what the stock market was today? Of course, and if I didn't check, so I have to check my news before I step into the classroom. But I will tell you, it has been the most rewarding opportunity that I've had in my entire life. I'm able to take these students that some they were in the juvenile system and now they're in the correctional system. Some are lifers, some are short timers. But for me to step into the classroom and provide them the knowledge that they need to succeed, there's nothing better. When I weigh my coaching business and my teaching, I take the teaching over the coaching business any day of the week because I see results. I get to go to their graduations. That's
That's
profound
beautiful.
to me. I get to see them walk cross stage with their associate's degree. And then I talk to them about they're going to move into their bachelor's program. So you have universities such as Princeton, Yale, Harvard, Stanford, that all have a prison reentry program, a bachelor's and a master's degree program. I encourage them to take their education to the next level. If you can get into Harvard in an online program to get your bachelor's degree while you're in the system, go for it. I mean, your state colleges are great, but if there are other opportunities for you, then that's the direction that you should go in.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
I encourage them to do to do better, and I challenge them to do better. I don't accept students that are whining about the work is too hard, but that's life. That's how life works. So I'm getting ready to go back in the classroom on August the 23rd. Be my my eighth year, and
Oh,
I'm
wow.
super excited. I am ready to go.
Oh my God, that's awesome. And thank you so much for sharing that about, teaching these incarcerated individuals and everything. And I just, it's great what you do. Like I mentioned, it's definitely prophetic because it definitely takes a lot of courage and just a whole nother set of personnel to go in there and teach. And I love what you're doing. And as we begin to wind down your beautiful soul filled exchange story here, and of course, understanding what signature of excellence coaching and consulting is, what's the one thing you want to leave our listeners with?
I want to leave your listeners with this. Sure, life is challenging, but life is fun. And if you have a coach that's there to help you, guide you through um, challenges, tribulations, or happiness, there's always a light at the end of that tunnel. It may look chaotic right now, but it doesn't have to remain that way. There's tons of life coaches, health coaches, wellness coaches that can help you to achieve whatever you're trying to do. Do not take this journey on by yourself. Bring someone into your life that's a professional, whether if it's a therapist or a coach, to help you redefine who you are and take you to that next level.
I love that. And I do have to ask because I mentioned to you, I'm nosy like that. I'm Latina, so I got to
That's
know.
okay.
Tell me, what are you building behind the scenes and what's next for you? I want to know because what you're doing is beautiful, Dr. Davis. Is beautiful for sure.
I tell you, I'm sitting here in my office and I'm just looking at my desk. You said projects. What do I have going on next? So I well, I'll tell you that this is what I'd like to happen. And this is wearing on my brain. In last year, 2024, the college that I teach for sent 7 or 8 of us to Ghana, Africa last year. Actually, it was I live in California, so they sent 370 370 staff, students, administrators to Ghana, Africa, so that we can develop this relationship with the Ghanaians, because understanding their educational system, because their educational system is where students at a very young age learn science, technology, engineering, arts, and maths, STEM. No, it's
Wow.
STEAM. So not only that, these students speak at least 3 languages. So, so what can we learn from the Ghanaians? So I spent 10 days in Ghana. Wonderful, wonderful experience. One of the excursions was the tour. They call them slave castles, but I call them slave dungeons. So it's during the slavery when they were taking the Ghanaians from their homeland, they would take them to a place. It's in Elmira, Ghana. Elmira, Ghana, where they take them through an intake process. So they converted them from their homeland religion to Christianity. It's a slave dungeon. And in that tour, I could still feel my ancestors there. Nothing has changed in terms of them creating, no, there's no new paint. The cement is the same. It was dreadful. However,
Wow.
working in the California prison system, I saw a lot of similarities in terms of how the prison looks. The prison that I work in now looks almost identical to the prison um, in Ghana. Mind you, that this prison was built in the 1700s. The
Oh,
first
wow.
California prison was built in California in the 1800s.
Mm.
So there's some correlation there. So the goal for me is to write about that experience. I took a lot, I journaled a lot while I was in Ghana, and I'm hoping that I'm going to return in 2016 because there's bits and pieces of the story, bits and pieces of my experience that I didn't journal, but I need to do that before I write the book. I want to see, I want my readers to see, why were these slave castles created, and what is the correlation or the relationship to that prison system that was developed in the 1700s, and how it's related to the prison systems in the United States. I mean, did someone create a blueprint and just share it across the United States? I don't know. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
So that's something in the back of my mind that I want to work on, and I'm sure it's going to happen. And everything happens in life, it happens in the correct time.
I love that. And I look forward to hearing from your inventors here in Ghana. I'm excited for that potential book in the works. And can you let our listeners know where they could follow you, connect with you, or just support your wonderful cause and get some of that good old goodness that is signature of excellence? Where can they find you?
Sure, they can go to my website. Please visit my website, www.signatureofexcellencelifecoach.com. You can also find me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook and LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, I'm Dr. Elizabeth Sherrell-Davis. If you wanted to send me text message, I'm at 916-204-7278.
Thank you so much. Y'all heard her. Make sure to follow, support, and stay plugged in with all the amazing things that Dr. Elizabeth Sherrell Davis is doing out there right now in the world. And ask yourself this: do you like yourself? Do you really like what's going on with you right now? And what would you change? Remember those two key elements there. Dr. Elizabeth, I just want to thank you so much for this conversation. You are such a breath of fresh air, and this has been enlightening. Thank you.
And thank you. I appreciate you wholeheartedly.
Oh, thank you so much. I just appreciate the wisdom, the journey, how to balance burnout and balance and all that great stuff. And to you, every soul listening today out there, thank you for showing up and for listening to us today. As always, this isn't a goodbye, it's just till next time. Con mucho amor, this has been Conversations with Iris. Thank you all.